All right. So you did 3 and 5. Now you're back for some more fun. So our next part is we are determining which lines are parallel and which are perpendicular. And there's about 5 lines there. So we're going to find the slopes of each one. So I'm going to color code. I'm going to start with P. I'm just going to go alphabetical. I'm going to color code, and I'm noticing. So the thing is as I'm looking at this, I'm noticing there's 3 points here, right? There's that one, there's this one, there's this one. Those would be the points that I want to pick from. Why wouldn't I pick from here? Like, why wouldn't I use that little blue dot? Well, I'm not going to use the blue dot because it's not intersecting at a clear point. Remember, the points we want to use, we want them to intersect like right where these lines are crossing. So it's clear what we're working with, okay? So I'm going to pick 2 of the points. It doesn't matter which 2 I pick. I'm going to choose, just so that my numbers are easier to follow, I'm going to use 1 and 4 and -2 and 1, okay? So for line P, remember, it's rise over the run. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we just got to make sure we know if we're going like left to right or right to left. We got to go the same order. So I'm going to go left to right. I'm going to have like this point here be my second. Okay, so the slope of P is going to equal, I'm going to subtract my y's, so 1 minus 4, and then I'm going to subtract my x's, -2 minus 1. So here I have -3 over -3, which is +1. So that's my slope of P. And I probably should write it, I'm going to write it with a little m. That tells me that's my slope of P. Now I'm going to go on, I'm going to look at my slope of Q. Again, I'm going to pick 2 points that are on the line that are easy to read. So I'm going to pick like here and here. Okay. So my line Q, the slope of Q, is going to equal, and again, I'm just going to go left to right. So I'm going to do my y's first. So -4 minus -1 minus my x's, 0 minus 3. And so 2 negatives make a positive. So I have -4 plus 1 is -3. And 0 minus 3 is -3. And this is 1. Now, M and Q, what could you say right away? You should be able to say they have the same slope. If they have the same slope, P and Q. If they have the same slope, they are parallel. So we can say P is parallel to Q. All right. Then let's go on. Let's do another line. We'll use this poop green color. So PQ, let's do R. So PQ, and we're looking at R now. So I'm going to pick this point here, R, and this point here. So the slope of R is going to equal, I'm going to subtract my y's. So 4 minus 1, subtract my x's, -2 minus 2. 4 minus 1 is 3 over -4. -3/4, okay, that's not anything right now. I'm going to go on to my next line. We'll do purple. Okay, so on my purple, I can use this same point again because it's on there, and I can use this point. So then let's see, point slope of line S. I'm going to subtract my y's. So 1 minus -2. I'm going to subtract my x's. -2 minus 1. So here I get 1 minus -2. That's going to be 3. And then I get -3. So this slope is -1. Now, as soon as that slope is -1, this is the one if students are going to miss. They always miss this one. This is the opposite reciprocal of 1. The opposite reciprocal of 1 is -1. Because they're opposite reciprocals, that means that P is perpendicular to S and Q is perpendicular to S. Okay, we have one more line to go. We'll go red. So T, line T, so we have this point here and we have this point here. So for T, the slope of T is going to equal, subtract the y's, -1 minus -4. The change in the x's, -4 minus 0. So here I end up with 3/4. Yeah, -3/4. And I'm noticing that this is -3/4 and this is -3/4. So those two lines are parallel. So the other set of parallel lines that I have are going to be R is parallel to T. But notice they're not perpendicular to P and Q, right? At this point, I would suggest you pause the video and you should do 7 through 11. I would stop the video and on page 160, I would do 7 through 11, please. I'm going to keep the video going, but I would highly suggest you do those next before you continue. Okay, so here, this is just like what we did before. It's just actually less chaotic. They give us 2 points on each line. So on line 1, I'm going to find the slope because we want to decide if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So the slope of line 1, I'm going to take the y's and subtract them. So 0 minus 2. I'm going to subtract the x's. 2 minus -2. So I end up with -2 over 4, which is -1/2. And then on line 2, the slope of line 2, I'm going to subtract the y's. So -2 minus 4. I'm going to subtract the x's, 1 minus 4. And so here I have -6 over -3, which is 2. These two slopes, they are opposites. One's positive, one negative, and they are perpendicular. So that means line 1 is perpendicular to line 2. All right. So hopefully you did the 7 through 11 before you do this next part. Okay. So here we want to write an equation on a line passing through that point and parallel to that line. We want to graph the equations of the lines and check that they are parallel. Well, I actually like to graph them from the beginning because I like to have an idea of what's going on. I like to have a visual picture. So here's my x and y axis, right? And I'm going to graph this line. So to graph the line, remember, this is y equals mx plus b. So this is your starting point is -1. And then your slope is up 2 over 1, 2, 3. Up 2 over 1, 2, 3. You can also go down 2 back 1, 2, 3. Oops. Anyways, here's your line. I want a line parallel to that, but I want it to pass through a different point. I want it to pass through the point of 3 -2's. So for 3 -2, yikes. For 3 -2, that's here. And if I want it to be parallel, what slope should I have? Well, I've got to have the same slope. So my m's got to equal 2/3. And I'm going to use the line, a formula for a line. Now, there's 2 ways you can do it. I've found, for the most part, that students like y equals mx plus b. I have a point, so I have this point, 3 -2, and I have an m. I just don't know what my y-intercept is. So I'm going to plug these in. So -2 equals 2/3 of x, which our x is 3, plus b. So -2 equals 2 plus b, and so b equals -4. So now I know my b is -4. I know my m. So the equation of my line, oh, I have to change colors, is going to be y equals 2/3 x minus 4. And in fact, if I go down to -4 and I go up 2/3, I get to that point. So I know I did it correctly. The other kind of method you could do if you forgot, you can always plot this point and do the slope, and then you'd find that y-intercept. That would work too. So that's parallel. Okay, so these two questions look almost identical. They're almost identical. And this is like, if you're going to screw something up on the test, this is going to be it right here, peeps. Parallel, perpendicular. The whole dang thing is the same except for the change of that word. And changing that word changes the whole situation. When they're parallel, they have the same slopes. Now we have the same situation. We have a point in a line, but we want it perpendicular. So now we want our m to be the opposite reciprocal from this line. So we want our m to be -1/2. So I'm going to draw in my x and y axis. I'm going to go ahead and graph that first line. I'm going to, again, I think I'll put it in blue. So up 3, and then slope is 2, up 2/1, or down 2, back 1. And so this is my line. And then we want it to go through this point of -2, 2. Okay, so can you kind of imagine what it might look like? I'm going to put like a ghost line in. I'm thinking it looks like something like this, right? Somewhere along those lines. And just so that we have an idea of what we're going to be shooting for. Okay, so I have a slope. I have a point. My point is -2, 2. So this is my x and my y. So I use y equals mx plus b. So my y is 2. My m is -1/2. My x is -2 plus b. So 2 equals 1 plus b. So b equals 1. So my b is 1, my m is -1/2, so y equals -1/2 x plus 1. And in fact, if I go to 1 and I go up 1, back 2, or down 1 over 2, I do get a line. Looks pretty close to what I was thinking. Okay. Now, before you move on to this last piece, I would suggest you stop the video, and I would do 13 through 19. 13 through 19, the odds. Okay, I would do those next before I did anything else.